have I ever told you the definition of insanity? This line is well known throughout the gaming community as a meme and just a great part of Far Cry 3. Being delivered by one of the most well known and fan favorite characters really put the cherry on top. Vaas is one of the main antagonists of Far Cry 3, which we don't see much of him, but from what we saw, we instantly became in love and he became a memorable and fan favorite character. With his well crafted lines and just likable quality, what made the character even better was the actor who played him. Michael Mando, best known for his role in Better Call Saul, he was the reason Vaas was the way he was, as he recently stated on Reddit that Vaas is like his spirit animal and that he would love to reprise his role again, and he even went to the point of saying that he might already be on his way back to the Far Cry world. Now in present day, leaks dropped of Far Cry 6 that it's going to come out and that the main villain was going to be played by none other than Giancarlo Esposito, who is best known for his role as Gus in Breaking Bad and also Better Call Saul, which is a funny coincidence, or is it? As more and more leaks came out, fans noticed that a young boy who was being overlooked by Esposito's character Anton Castillo resembled the beloved character Vaas. Now, the main reason people believed that he was Vaas was because of a scar on his eyebrow, which at first I myself laughed at and ignored, as it seemed to have been a far-fetch until I started to piece things together. Now, what I want to go over in this video is how Diego could somehow be Vaas. Do bear in mind that this is just for fun, as I am not and will not be saying that Diego is for sure Vaas or anything like that. I will be going over fan theories and my theories on how this could possibly work in the Far Cry universe. I also want to mention that if you don't know who Vaas is exactly, I heavily recommend a deep dive of Far Cry 3 that Pyrocynical has made a few months ago. Not only does he go into detail on the game, but he also goes into insane detail on Vaas himself especially. I'll link the video down in the description, and I heavily recommend it if you're bored any day. With the release of Far Cry 3, Ubisoft decided to take on a new path for the advertising of their game, that being to concentrate on the antagonist, which resulted in a positive feedback, and this became a repeated aspect of the Far Cry games. From Vaas to Paganman and Joseph, these characters became memorable after their first interaction. Instantly after the love Vaas got, fans demanded more from the character. They craved more, and it seemed like Ubisoft did too. They continuously showed love for the character and even hinted at him coming back to the game. Now, what I want to talk about first is how the character of Diego could be Vaas. The first thing that I have mentioned is his scar on his eyebrow. This does seem odd, and you'd instantly think that this could be Vaas just because of an eyebrow, but if you look at it from a point of view of it being set in the Far Cry universe, it doesn't seem impossible. There might be a possibility that this is an origin story for his character, and that instead of Far Cry 3 being set in 2012 as we're set to believe, it might be set in the near future when Diego is older and now goes by the name of Vaas. But there's an aspect that nobody points out, and that being that Diego doesn't have a sister. This isn't confirmed as we don't fully know everything about Far Cry 6's story, but this could be easily solved by just saying that his sister was always on the Rook Islands, where Diego relocates after his father might pass away at the end of Far Cry 6. Another theory I see people say is that Vaas spoke about believing in reincarnations being possible. Now, this just seems to me like a part where Ubisoft was trying to portray to us that Vaas is truly insane, but I see people believing that Diego is the reincarnation of him. Personally, I feel like this is the least likely version, but I won't sweep this under the rug, as some of the things that have been happening in the universe, it doesn't seem impossible. Like nukes going off, and nearly every single Far Cry game, you kinda trip out. The last theory that I want to go over is that Far Cry 6 might just possibly be a reboot, and the way where Ubisoft wants to explore Vaas's past. These all seem like valuable points, but unfortunately these all seem to have an argument against them which just explain everything. The main thing being that we already know Vaas's story, his origin story. Vaas Montenegro, born in 1985 on the Rook Islands themselves with his sister. At a young age, he became a drug addict, and he became the right hand of Hoyt Volker, who is also another villain in Far Cry 3, which inevitably led him up to the confrontation with Jason in Far Cry 3. But there's other things that could also explain that it's definitely not an origin story setting in the time. since Far Cry 6 is set in the modern day from our understanding, as in the trailer that they released, which honestly I have to say looks amazing, and I know it is a cinematic trailer, but even at that it looks pretty amazing in my opinion. But anyway, you can see that Diego is listening to music on his headphones with a very modern phone. So if Far Cry 6 isn't set in the near future, then this is definitely not an origin story, because I doubt that Far Cry / Ubisoft would want to change their origins and just rewrite history. But then considering to look at Far Cry 5 and New Dawn, since in that universe, and I believe it's all set in the same universe with all of the Ubisoft games, is that America got nuked very severely. And I do believe it's only America, as I couldn't find any more information that it's worldwide, which is kind of odd, since if you consider what happens in New Dawn with there being revolutions and just people kind of using what they have, and you know, being America, it does kind of seem odd. But then again, if you look at Far Cry 6, we're told that the game is stuck in time, meaning that in my opinion, I think Anton Castillo limits everybody's ability to take things out of the world. What I mean by this is get imports of weapons, imports of new vehicles, just things from the outside of this new world called Yara, which resembles Cuba heavily. So this is possible that it is set after Far Cry 5, which would mean that Far Cry 3, if this is an origin story for Vaas, and this is in the past, and then Far Cry 3 is in the near future, then that means that in Far Cry 3, Far Cry 5 already happened, which doesn't make sense, because I doubt that they would want to go back home, which is America from our understanding in Far Cry 3, which is one of the biggest reasons I don't think that Diego is Vaas. No matter how badly, how much I want Diego to be Vaas, for us to have a pretty epic origin story, to know that his father is Gus from Breaking Bad, which is amazing. And can I just say that the actor who plays Diego voiced the main character from Coco, which honestly is an amazing Disney Pixar movie, and I fully recommend that to you too, just like Breaking Bad. The cast lead up and everything that is in Far Cry 6, from my understanding, from the third person cutscenes to the amazing weapons that we can see, because they have to adapt to the environment and reuse and recycle things, it's amazing. And this would be a great way to set up Far Cry 3, and it's a great way to also confuse us, because if you look at the vehicles, the cars, they all look like they're from the 1960s, which is again a way of telling us that they've been stuck in time since the 1960s. So in my opinion, I don't think that Diego is Vaas. But that's just my opinion. And I would love if all of a sudden in Far Cry 6, at any moment, even his father or any character of Diego that Diego has a relationship with would say, have I ever told you the definition of insanity? As Vaas in Far Cry 3 does mention that somebody did tell him the definition of insanity and he killed him, which would be also a great way of portraying Diego going insane because of his father trying to manipulate him and teach him to become the next El Presidente. But these are just theories, and I'm not saying that these are all true. The biggest reason, again, as I mentioned, Far Cry 5 and everything just wouldn't lead up and make sense, and especially that Far Cry 3 is set in 2012, it just would be a bit odd. Now again, they could just easily say that Far Cry 5 isn't canon, since again, as I've mentioned, all of the Ubisoft games are set in the exact same universe from what we know, and it's just kind of odd that they all of a sudden would have like America nuked. And you know, that wouldn't stop them from never, you know, continuing games. It would just be like America is bombarded, and who knows, even Russia, because I do believe it was a Russia versus America argument. And another thing that I want to mention is that I don't think we should also just concentrate on Diego. We should definitely be looking at the main man himself, which is Giancarlo Esposito's character, Anton Castillo. I feel like he will be one of the greatest Far Cry villains that we've had. Not only is he a great actor, but he seems pretty passionate about the role, saying that he wants us as a fan base and people who play Far Cry to see his point of view, and that's also the Far Cry's concentration for this game. So we will be seeing more of his perspective on things. So I feel like he would be a great opposer and competition to Vaas, as I've mentioned, obviously Vaas is a fan favorite. It would be a great change up for Far Cry games to see the point of view, and I hope since we do get the third person cutscenes, we not only always follow our main character, we'll get some snips and bits of Anton Castillo and his relationship with his son Diego. So if you guys enjoyed, and if you're new here somehow, be sure to subscribe. We're on the way to 10k subscribers. Don't care how long it takes. Obviously, hopefully one day we hit 10k, but be sure to subscribe. It's free. You're at the part of the video where I'm just gonna self-promote myself, because obviously it's the end. So if you want, you can stop watching. But if you don't, be sure to like the video. Hopefully I made some good points that you can agree with. Hopefully you enjoy my content. And I'll be definitely make another or a few more Far Cry 6 videos, because I have not been so excited for a game in a very long time. I think the last time I was so excited for a game was with Red Dead Redemption 2. And this one just looks really well made. And I feel like Ubisoft is actually really passionate about this game. It seems with the trailer and everything that we're hearing. But without further ado, hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.